You're having a rough morning, you're already late, and your toddler refuses to get dressed. And in the heat of the moment, you snap and yell, "Just get dressed!" And as they tear up and pull away, that familiar heavy thought creeps in. I've just damaged the bond with my little one. And while those moments do matter, there is something that you really need to hear. Research shows that even in the healthiest, most secure relationships, parents and children are out of sync as much as 70% of the time. 70%. That means even the best parents are getting it wrong more often than they're getting it right. So those moments where you lose your patience, raise your voice, or just completely miss what your toddler needs, those aren't signs that your attachment is broken. They're signs that you're human. But what does have a massive impact on your child's attachment, and it's the part that most parents miss, is what happens after those moments. Now, to understand why, we need to look at it through your child's eyes. To your little one, you are their safe place, the person they trust more than anyone else. So when you snap or raise your voice, that feeling of safety, the thing they depend on you for completely, suddenly disappears. And now they're alone with a really big, really scary feeling. Their brain immediately starts searching for the reason. Why did the person who always makes me feel safe just become scary? But they're kids and they can't see that you're exhausted or stressed about work or completely overwhelmed by the mile-long to-do list in your head. So their brain lands on the only explanation it can find: they're angry because I did something wrong. If we don't go back and mend that moment, that thought doesn't just vanish when the tears stop. It stays. And if this becomes a pattern where there are moments of disconnect that never get repaired, that passing thought shifts from "I did something wrong" into a core belief that something about me makes the people I love react this way. I am the problem. And that belief doesn't just stay contained in their relationship with you, it travels with them into how they see themselves, how they handle conflict, and how safe they feel letting people get close to them. It literally affects every relationship they'll ever have. This is why going back and repairing that connection with your little one is one of the most important things that you can do for their attachment. So how do you actually do it? The first thing, and this matters more than anything else in the process, is you need to be calm before you go back to them. If you try to repair while you're still frustrated, you're more likely to escalate things than fix them. So give yourself whatever time you need. That might be 5 minutes once you've taken a few breaths, or later that afternoon, or even the next morning when everything feels a bit more settled. There is no deadline on repair. What matters is that you do it, and you do it when you're calm. Once you are calm, you just get down to their level, look them in the eye, and own what you did. So you might say something like, "I've been thinking about this morning. I got frustrated and I raised my voice." Now, I know it is tempting to keep going and add in, "But I got frustrated because you weren't listening," or "But I raised my voice because we just didn't have time for those sandals." But the moment that "but" comes out, the blame lands straight back on your child. And that little brain that had already decided it was all their fault just had that thought confirmed. So own your behavior and keep theirs completely out of it. Now, leaving their behavior out of the conversation doesn't mean that you're saying what they did was okay. You're simply acknowledging that your reaction to it wasn't okay. And this teaches your child one of the most valuable lessons they'll ever learn: that no matter how frustrated you get, you are still responsible for how you treat the people you love. The listening, the shoes, or the behavior that pushed you over the edge that morning, all of that can be addressed later, calmly, once the connection between you is restored. But right now, in this moment, there is only one job, and that is to repair. Next, it's time to acknowledge how it might have felt for them. Now, this doesn't need to be elaborate. It can be something as simple as, "I'm sorry if I frightened you." When you do this, you are showing your child that their feelings are valid and that you can see things from their side. And that alone goes a long way in rebuilding that sense of safety. Then tell them what you're going to do differently. "Next time when I'm feeling rushed, I'm going to take a few deep breaths before I speak." This shows your child that you're not just saying sorry, you're actually working on doing better. And it models a really valuable life skill: that when you get things wrong, you don't just move on. You reflect and you try to improve. After you tell them what you'll do the next time, you offer a way to reconnect. So this might be a cuddle, reading a book together, or a few minutes of play. Here, you want to follow their lead. If they want a hug straight away, that's great. But if they need a little more time to come back to you, that is completely okay. Because the offer itself is what matters. It tells them that we're okay and our relationship is strong. And that moment of coming back together after something hard, that's actually the foundation of secure attachment. But there's one more step that most parents skip entirely, and it's the part that stops the same situation from happening again next week or tomorrow. Before we get to that though, if getting your toddler to cooperate feels like a constant battle, my free guide called the Toddler Cooperation Toolkit can help. In it, I give you 7 specific strategies for those moments where they won't get dressed, won't leave the park, or just won't stop pushing back. I tell you exactly what to say and do to minimize those battles, and the link to that is in the description below. Okay, now to the part that most parents miss. Once that connection is restored and you are both calm, it is time to address your child's behaviour. This is where you sit down with them and talk about what they could do differently next time, telling them exactly what you want to see. So for example, if the battle around getting dressed is what pushed you over the edge, once you're both calm, you might sit down together and say, when I ask you to get dressed, you can choose which top you want to wear. That's it. You're not bringing the argument back up, you're just giving them the exact words and actions to use the next time so they don't end up in the same situation again. And when you do this consistently, repair first, teach second, those same moments start happening less and less because your child has the skill to handle it differently. But they won't disappear entirely. There are still going to be moments where your toddler does tantrum, and when they do, your instinct is going to be to talk them through it. Now, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but doing that actually makes it worse and prolongs the whole thing. In this video, I show you why that happens and what to do instead, so you can get through that moment faster and hopefully skip the repair conversation altogether. So make sure you watch that one next.